There we go. All right. So always technology. Gotta love it. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. We are talking about just listed, just sold mastery. We're going to continue on this, and yeah, let's go ahead and continue to finish this thing strong. So we've been talking a lot about how to capture more business from your just listed, just sold phone calls, and of course, if you're doing some version of door knocking, this is my favorite script. Okay, and the reason I say it's my favorite script, not my favorite source, but it's my favorite script. The reason I say it's my favorite script is simply because of the fact that you can use this universally throughout all conversations. It doesn't really, in a sense, matter. You could talk to an expired, you could talk to a for sale by owner, you can just talk to a random person at the store, and you can use basically part of the script as the conversation. And what do I mean by that is, just kind of an example that I've used before in the past myself as I'm, in a grocery line and just look at the person behind me and I say, hey, how's it going? Good. Awesome. You live around here? Hmm. Okay. Well, how long have you lived here? Okay, cool. And where'd you guys move from? Oh, you guys moved from LA. That's awesome. What made you guys pick this part of town? Affordability. Understood. Yeah, absolutely. You can get a little bit more bang for your buck over here, right? Well, let me ask you, if you were to make a move, where would you consider making a move to next? In the moment that I get that, or I ask that question, I get a little bit of a confused look, if you want to call it that. And that confused look is the reason I'm asking is because I'm a local realtor. And if you're ever in the market, you're thinking about possibly making a move, I would definitely love the opportunity to be of some assistance. It's funny you ask. We've been toying with the idea. We've been possibly thinking about eventually at some point in time. We're just not ready, but I know somebody. I'm thinking of somebody that I could refer you to. What is your name? What's the best number for me to reach out to people? It's a conversation starter is basically with what I'm getting. Heck, you could be at a freaking a party. You can be just kind of hanging out. I know it sounds kind of silly. What do you mean, Robert, at a party? Yeah, absolutely. Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Yeah, I'm Robert. Where are you from? Oh, you live around here. Awesome. How long you been here? Okay, cool. Awesome. Where'd you move from? Oh, okay. Not too far. All right. Well, how'd you happen to pick this part of town? Exactly the same thing. Okay. So, in the point that I'm trying to make here is just nothing more than it is a very universal script, is all that I'm getting at. Now, we did talk yesterday about sorry, I've been dealing with allergies and my nose is all super duper itchy. And you'll hear me a little extra nasally too. But anyways, let's move on. We did talk about the filtration system. What's the filtration system? You're going to go out. You're going to have 100 conversations. Of 100 conversations, you might get 20 random names and numbers that could be somewhat usable. I'm not saying leads. I am just simply saying that these are people that maybe, possibly, eventually, at some point in time, they might know of somebody, so on and so forth. Well, those 100 become 20 of what I'm referring to, what I call our suspects. And those 20 suspects, well, believe it or not, you're probably going to be able to capture as much as 2 to 4 potential appointments. Now, why do I bring it up from this perspective? It's just simply because of the fact that even when you set an appointment, it's not going to come together. It was very common for me to set, an appointment or two a day, which would basically, in a sense, be about 5 to 10 listing appointments a week. Would I attend all of them? No, wouldn't. It was pretty close to about 50%. Now, of that 50%, I would capture a good percentage of them. The percentage I'd capture would be anywhere between 70, 90, 95%. What would be the variation? Well, when I'm dealing with my database, personal database, my friends, my family, well, I'm probably going to capture about 95% of them. When I'm working with for sale by owners, I'm probably a little bit closer to like maybe 50 or 60%. When I'm dealing with expires, it might be 60 or 70%. It's not the greatest, but when I'm going on enough of these, I'm going to capture them. It's a volume game. Okay. And it is important we understand that because, as I've said before, there's a way to expedite your success. And the way you expedite your success is just simply nothing more than just failing. The faster you fail, the faster you succeed. Succession is on the other side of failure. And I want you guys to understand that. You can't succeed without failure. Okay. And if you do succeed without failure, I want you to really look back with what you think is success without failure, because I guarantee you that it's going to take some time. Now, let me give you an example. Man, I feel super nasally today. Let me give you an example. How many of you have heard of the bamboo theory? Now, the bamboo theory, what that basically, in a sense, says that on average, what you're going to do is you're going to plant a bamboo seed. That's going to take about 5 to 7 years before it finally hits the surface. And when it does hit the surface, it can grow as much as 90 feet in the very first 3 months. Okay. Now, I could be off a little bit in regards to the size, but I do know it's very substantial. And the reason I bring this up is simply because the moment that bamboo touches the surface, it can grow substantially. Okay, whether that be 10 or 90 feet, whatever that number is. But it grows pretty substantially. Now, did it take 90 days for that bamboo to actually grow, or did it take the 5 to 7 years of every day watering it, giving it sun, giving it love, continuing to feed this thing, or was it that 90 days? And it's the same thing when it comes time to our business. And it's very common, especially in our industry with realtors, is that they'll go try a particular source, and then after a month, 2 or 3, they go, that didn't work. This is one of those ones that you have to, I mean, pretty much all of them, but this is the one even more so in specific that you have to be able to understand that process because it's going to take some time to build. Now, as usual, I do want to thank everybody that's joining us on all the other platforms, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I'm going to encourage you to come join us over here on Zoom. It gives us the opportunity to better interact. I'd love the opportunity to role play with you. Now, any questions, any comments, any concerns? And then Lisette, I don't know if you have any insights you wanted to share, anything this morning. All right, let's.
No, I just really quickly because I think we're this year I've grown more in my skill set, and you're right about just getting more and more conversations. You're just getting closer and closer to your next transaction. So I've taken a different approach to my business. So it's been super helpful. But just learning a different skill set is takes time.
Yeah, it is. And one of the things that, is with our team, as an example, is that with some of the people, and I'll leave them nameless because I don't want to put them on the spot, but seeing some of these people that have never used script, that have never prospected, that have never been in a position where they've had to have this confrontation, or be in that type of a position, and then the role plays that we do. And then little by little, you start to see hey, great job. You used that close. Great job. You actually understood the purpose of the script. Great job. You asked the question that we've been wanting you to ask. So the more that we grow, goes back to the example that I've asked before, is like, can you see grass grow? I mean, really, you can't. I mean, if you go out there and you look at it for an hour or two, or heck, even an entire day, you really can't see the growth of it. But we do know this, every single week you got to cut the grass, right? Because next thing you know, it's 6, 7, 8 inches higher than what it was when you last cut it. And that's kind of the same thing that it comes time with us. Now, are we growing at a percent a day? Probably not. But is it 0.001? Maybe. And if you just start to stack it up every single last practice, 0.001, 0.0001, 0.0001, well, by the end of the week, you might possibly be 0.1% better. Is that substantial? Nope, absolutely not. But after 10 weeks, you become 1% better. And then after an entire year, you could become 10% better. And that can be substantial. But you got to go at it day after day after day after day. And more practice you have, the better you become. Now, let's move over and talk a little bit about a different topic. Now, if anybody has any questions, as usual, feel free to go ahead and jump right in, type them in. We'll get them addressed. And again, if you guys are on the other platforms, I'm going to encourage you, feel free to go ahead and get those typed in as well. All right, so let's move on. One of the biggest things when it comes time to the just listed, just sold, okay, in specific, of course, this ties into basically sales in general, but even more so with just listed, just sold, is that there is a follow-up system that you do need to follow. Now, for me, I've always had this kind of rule. There's 3 stages to a lead. And the 3 stages to a lead is what I call is my A lead. What is my A lead? Is somebody that needs to sell or buy in the next 7 days. That's somebody that needs to buy in this next week or sell in the next week. Well, what do you mean? Who's going to be in that position? Well, there are. There's people that are right now, they're facing foreclosure. Their house is going to get foreclosed on Friday. Okay. There's other people where they got a job transfer and then their transfer certificates or whatever you want to call it is up at the end of the month and they have to go and put something down. How about like a 1031 exchange? They have 90 days and they're on day 85. There's people out there that do need this. And those people, I put them on what I call is my A lead system. In my A lead system, I follow up with them every day until they either buy, sell, die, or just simply tell me to F off. And I'm going to follow up with them every single day for the next 7 days. The more typical traditional lead for Robert is somebody looking to buy or sell in the next 30 days. Okay, now that is important to understand that there is a line drawn in that sand because most agents, unfortunately, and most non-successful agents determine everybody's a lead. They told me they were thinking about it. They walked into the open house. All of these people, I got a bunch of leads. No, I actually was very specific. I drew a line in the sand, and that was basically somebody looking to buy or sell in the next 30 days. That gives me a little bit of a larger window, and those are my B leads. Well, what about people that were on the other side of that? Well, the other side of that, there was only one reason I would hold on to a person that is on the other side of the 30 days, and that's what I call as a conditional lead. A conditional lead, I want you to think of somebody, for example, going back to the job transfer. Well, Robert, I am going to end up moving over to Texas because they're opening up a new plant. However, that plant isn't going to be opening up until 2027. And I don't know exactly when I'm going to be needing to report there. I just know it's 2027. I don't know if it's January. I don't know if it's November. But I do know that I'm going to be making that move over there. They already told me I already have a position lined up there. I just have nowhere to report to. Or how about somebody that, as an example, just found out that they were pregnant with twins, and then the doctor said, "Hey, look, congratulations. Yes, you are 3 months pregnant, but you are high risk. So we're going to need to take you off of work. We're going to keep, close eye and monitor. And until, the babies are born, you can't go back to work." Well, the lender says, "Hey, well, unless you're working, I can't do anything." So now the next 6, 8, 9 months, until the babies are born and the person goes back to work, that's a condition. Another example would be, I want to buy a home. Great. Yeah, but I just got laid off like a month ago, and I've been doing this profession for the last 20 years. It's not too hard to find another job for with what it is that I do, but I got to find another job as an example. Or how about, you know what? I'm going to have $500,000 coming to me any day now, from a lawsuit that I won. Right? And then all of a sudden they're sitting there saying, from a settlement standpoint, and when are you going to be getting the settlement? I don't know. I've been waiting for 2 years, as an example. So those are conditions. Okay. There's other types of conditions. Those people I'll hold on to if it's a very specific time frame or something that I can kind of put a deadline to. My son or daughter is going to be graduating high school, and that's when we're going to make a move. Oh, perfect. You're right around the corner. Well, yeah, they graduate in May, but that's not until next year. They're only a junior. Oh, okay. Well, do you know where you're going? Not really, because my son or daughter actually applied for both Texas and Florida, and then one of them actually, applied for New York. Okay. Are you going with them? Well, not necessarily, but we at least want to be in the same state and somewhat in the same vicinity as to where they go to school. Condition. 80 to 95% of your business is going to come from the lead follow-up. So I want you to understand that there is going to be that process. Now, there's the third category, and that third category is everybody else. And those are not C leads. I call them suspects. Those are suspects. But I put them on my Plan C list. And what is a Plan C list? It's nothing more than a collection of all of the names and numbers that I've actually gotten. When do I follow up with them? I basically just follow up with them at random. Okay. There is no rhyme or rhythm behind it. They are not part of my daily contacts. They are not part of my lead follow-up system. There is no real system in a sense to it. Today I have an appointment at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. I'm not going to call them today. Tomorrow I have a 4 o'clock appointment. I'm not going to call them tomorrow. And then on Friday, I kind of have an open window. And by the time I'm done with all of my prospecting, it's now 1:30, 2 o'clock. Lizette and I already went out to lunch or whatever it is, grabbed the bite to eat. Now we're back at the office. Well, what do? I don't have anything else going on. Let me grab that Plan C list and let me see how far I can get into it for the next, I don't know, hour or so. And I still have that. I still have a version of that. So that's something that I want you to understand. Anybody have any questions? Anything that I can go over? Keep going. All right. And again, Lizette, if you have anything you want to add, just feel free to just jump in. Now, in this, you must be willing to discard of these people. Here's the thing. when we have too many leads, it works against you, at least with what you consider a lead. And what do I mean by that? What ends up happening is that you have, let's say for an example, I have 12 people that I identify as 12 leads. I can see very clearly there's Joe, there's Bob, there's Sarah, there's Tom, there's Sally, there's Maria, there's Jose, so on and so forth. I can see that. You have 100 of these people. Maybe you can see a handful of these, but there's a bunch of people that you have at random. And if I go through of my 12 people, I know person number 2, number 5, and number 7, they are ready. They are absolutely ready and they're ripe. But you have the same leads that I have in a sense, those same 12 people, but you also have the other 88 or whatever number ends up being, 88 other people. And my 2, 5, and number 7 is your number 20, number 50, and number 70. As you're going down your lead follow up, I'm going to get through them quicker. Where you are going to be sitting there, I called 2 today, I called 4 tomorrow, I called 3, the next day, I called 2 the next day, and you still haven't spoken to that person that is number 20, if that makes sense. So you have to be able to discard them. And that's why I move them over to the Plan C list and I don't call them leads. I don't call them anything other than a suspect. The detachment is part of that professionalism. I hope you understand with what I'm getting at. Okay.
Yeah, Robert, I think this is a really important point because, we always hear agents say like they have a bunch of leads, but really that is a different definition for many people. So it's a very important point, but it matters as to what a lead means to you. So, for you being at 30 days, I mean, for me, I do see it a little bit further, maybe like 3 months. I like to hold on to them maybe like for, if they have to buy or sell in the next 3 to 6 months, maybe at that. But it's a different definition.
Yeah.
But anything further than that, I've learned from you is it's not a lead. It's
Yeah.
just a name and a number. Um, you have to have it systematized to follow up with these people.
Yeah.
So Craig asked, is there a month time when you'll work on your lead follow-up?
Yeah, absolutely. What I do is the very first thing I do is I have a 3 ring binder, okay, which I'm not going to go into depth on. I will go into that a little bit more tomorrow. So I have this 3 ring binder, and that 3 ring binder basically has 2 sections, has tabs 1 through 31. I'm still a little old school. Now, in this tabs 1 through 31, that represents the days of the month. The second half of that is January through December. That's basically, of course, January, February, March, April, all the way through December. And that's for those people that are a little bit more conditional. I have the book in front of me, flip to the page 25, boom. I pull out those 2 people. This is before I get started. Literally right now, 7:48 Pacific Standard Time. I would grab those 2 people and I'd put them in front of me. I got Bob and then I have Sarah. Okay, so Bob was an old expired lead that I got, and I spoke to him. Oh, here's a note. Yeah, I got to call him a little bit early because he works the swing shift over at UPS. So I got to make sure I call him before 12 o'clock. Sarah, oh, she's a teacher. So I need to make sure that I call her after 3 o'clock. Okay. Now, in that, I put them at the ready. I have my call list ready. If I were back in, of course, full-blown prospecting, I'd go through, get my expired list ready, my for sale by owner list ready, my just listed sold ready. I'd get my database ready. And I do the same thing what I just described with my database people, my 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Got to call these people, so on and so forth. And I start to get myself organized. Boom, 8 o'clock. I get on the phones and I go through, and the very first person I'm probably going to call is Bob. Okay. And Bob, nope, no answer. Okay. Then I go through, call my expires. Boom, 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 boom. Go through the second round, the third round. Then I finish expires. I call Bob again. Okay. I don't leave him a voicemail. I just give him another shot. Then I go through, call my FISBOs. Okay. Then I call my just listeds. Then I call this, this open house lead as an example, what I would call in a sense an open house lead. Then I go on to other sources. Then I go about my day, and what I think is I'm done with my prospecting. I'm going to give Bob one more try, and now I'm going to send Bob a text. Hey, Bob, it's Robert. You and I spoke, a couple weeks ago. You told me to give you a call back towards the end of the month. Well, here I am fulfilling my commitment. And now what I'm doing is I'm just simply nothing more. Answer your question, Craig, is I simply sprinkle them in into my prospecting time. What I don't do, this is a big, big problem with a lot of agents. Sorry, my nose is super itchy. Um, what's it called? Agents will go, okay, I'm going to lead follow up between the hours of 1 and 3 p.m. Cool. Awesome. And some of you will even go even further and say on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I do my lead follow up 1 and 3. And some of you are very religious. Tuesday, Thursday, 1 to 3, 1 to 3, Tuesday, Thursday. And you do that over and over and over again. I don't know why Bob's not picking up. Well, Bob's not picking up because you forgot about the note that you put in there that you got to call him before 12 o'clock. So in that, you have to know who your lead is and is there a designated time. So that's the reason I sprinkled them in, and it's subject to, what they're, if there was anything specific with them. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. There's not a time block for that. I'm not a big fan of time block. Okay, when we get to time block, that is mastery. That is when you have a master's degree and you're working on your doctorate. And that's when we time block. Right now, I just want you to work on the activities. Cool. Anything else?
I think with that, I mean, nowadays we do have like a solid CRM. Like there's so many really great CRMs to help you remember to follow up with that specific lead.
Sure.
But where you're coming from is obviously, a different type of follow-up. You have it in a binder, literally physically in front of you, versus being online, which I do find that beneficial for me at least, is because everything is online. So you're gonna get that distraction. But it has worked for you. And I do think, after seeing the binder of what you have to follow up, it's just a binder of keeping notes in front of you. So being very intentional about it because you get these emails coming through, okay, follow up with this person, follow up with that person. And sometimes they can be ignored because you're getting other emails.
Mm.
So just being really intentional about it has
Yeah.
been really helpful. And then aside from that, so Sean on Instagram asked, what does a typical call to a suspect look like in your follow-up?
Absolutely. So basically, what I would do is I pick up the phone just at random. Sean and I spoke, I don't know, 9 months ago. But I don't really have the notes in detail. And in that, I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going through, I'm calling Bob, I'm calling Sally, I'm calling Tom, I'm calling Jerry, I'm calling Jose, I'm calling Maria, I'm calling next person, and then boom, Sean. Sean, hey, this is Robert, local realtor. You and I spoke a little while ago. I know you were in the market to either buy or sell. I just wanted to check in with you if you're ready to go ahead and make that move. No, we're still thinking about it. Okay, well, that's perfectly fine. Sean, I must ask you, what's stopping you from making the move? Most powerful question. What's stopping you from making that move? Well, we're waiting for the interest rates. We hear about the war. We hear about this other stuff. Now, remind me, Sean, what is it that you're looking to accomplish? Well, our ultimate goal was to sell this home and then buy something a little bit bigger. I go into the depthness, which is the importance of the motivation. Tell me more about with what you're wanting to accomplish, Sean. You say you're wanting more home. What do you mean by that? Do you mean more square footage in the house, or are you talking about the lots, or are you talking about all of the above? All of the above. Okay, well, how would that impact you and your family? Oh, that's right. You did say that. You're expecting twins, so this is baby number 3 and baby number 4, and your 3 bedrooms just isn't going to work anymore. That's right. And then you also told me about the dog, the dogs that you adopted. So now you're up to 4 dogs and 4 kids. You have a household. I completely understand where you're coming from, and I can hear them in the background, by the way. So remind me again, what kind of dogs do you have? Golden Retriever. You got a Lab. Goodness gracious, Sean, we got to get you more space. I mean, again, what's stopping you from making the move? The interest rates? Hey, look, let's do this. What I want to do is I want to evaluate your situation to see if it makes more sense to do it now versus waiting it out until the interest rates actually drop. I get it, Sean. I'm just checking in. I just want to be able to provide a service. And trust me, I don't want to make a move for you or obviously put you in a position where you're making a move until you're ready. How does your wife feel about the move? She's excited about it? Well, let's do this. Let's just have a conversation. I really honestly don't mind. I just need maybe about 20, not much more than about 30 minutes. And if it makes sense, great, we move forward. And if it doesn't, that's okay. At least we can explore the options. That's what I'm telling him, Sean. Okay. Now, let me tie in one more thing because I want to make sure that we don't misunderstand. Lizette did bring up a great point. Now, the CRM is still there. I mean, I've had every single last possible CRM out there with every bell, every whistle, extra whistles, and extra bells. And the way that I use that is I go through, going back to Bob, I pull out his sheet from that 3 ring binder. I pull up his information, Bob Smith, 123 Banana Street. Okay. Go through it. I pick up the phone. I call Bob. Okay. Doesn't answer. I put him back in the stack of systems of following up the calls to be had. Then again, an hour later, after I'm done with my expires, I pick up the sheet again, call Bob. I have his notes already up. Okay. This time I talk to Bob. Bob, hey, it's Robert. Yeah, absolutely. You and I spoke a couple weeks ago. You told me to give you a call back by the end of the month. Yeah, here I am, just fulfilling my promise. Now, I know you had told me that your goal was to get a little bit closer to the mountains. Now, I know you had referred to, possibly City A, City B, and City C. Okay, which of the cities was your preference? Number one preference. All I'm doing is furthering the conversation. All right. We got a couple minutes left. Any last questions? I want to get a little bit of role play in. So let me get some role play. And then if I can get somebody to be prepared and ready to role play, and then if anybody has anything else.
Just really quick, I think as you're waiting for someone, I do think that it's simply put, just to simplify this whole concept of lead follow-up, it's simply a tab in your calendar to remember to call these people.
Yeah.
So I know that you have a very robust binder with a lot of details, but that's been time that you put into, making that a little bit more efficient for you.
Mhm.
But for somebody to understand this whole concept, it's simply a tab in your calendar to just remember to call these people.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, let me do a giveaway. Okay, so I'm going to do a very quick giveaway. How many of you guys would like to see what type of lead sheet? Okay. If you want this, do me a favor. Send me a DM on Instagram, okay? And basically just tell me, a lead sheet, okay? Just send me a DM and I'll send you with what is basically my version of a lead sheet. So not anything super duper great. So with what Lizette is talking about, it's just nothing more than a sheet with all the questions that I would go through and I'd ask all of these people. Okay. And then that is something that you can probably implement. So if you want that information, feel free to go ahead and just send me a DM on Instagram, or you can always text me. Okay. So phone number, just in case you don't have it with you. I don't understand why you wouldn't. But it's 951 232 5357. Again, you guys can go ahead and send me a text there, and I'll be more than happy to send it over to you guys. But send it over to Instagram first, because I can always have my team send it over to you a little bit faster. All right. Who wants to go ahead and give it a go? I just want to work on just the opening. Come on. Let's get a little volunteer.
I'll go.
Last one will change the way you walk.
Let's do this. All right. So, Boris, ready?
Yes. Who am I calling?
Yeah, you're basically calling me. And then
Okay.
I'm just going to work on the opening. So, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, Robert. My name is Boris. I'm a local realtor with Lux Places International Realty. The reason I'm calling is I just listed a beautiful home for sale around the corner from you over on 123 Banana Street. And it's a four-bedroom, three bath, and it's listed at a great price at 500,000. Okay, go on. And I was
Okay.
curious, who do you know that will be move into our neighborhood?
Okay. Here's what I want you to do, Boris. A little bit more energy, a little bit more excitement. Let me ask you, are you sitting down right now?
Yes.
Okay, stand up.
Okay.
I can hear you sitting down. So sell me. Okay, sell me. More energy, more enthusiasm. It wasn't bad. It's just I want more.
Is that trying to, yeah, I'm trying to, it's kind of small print. I'm trying to find the actual page.
You're
I thought I
perfectly
had
fine.
the scripts.
There's nothing wrong with the words that you use. What I want is a little bit more energy and enthusiasm.
Okay.
So there we go. From the
Okay.
top. Ring, hello.
Hi, Robert. This is Boris. I'm a local realtor with well, hold on. Let me start over. Hi, Robert. This is Boris. I'm a local realtor with Lux Place International Realty. The reason I'm calling is I just listed a beautiful home for sale around the corner from you over on 123 Banana Street. It's a four-bedroom, three bath, and it's listed at a great price of 500,000. I was curious, who do you know that would like to move into our neighborhood?
Okay, good. Good job, Boris. Lizette, any insights?
Yeah, the first note I wrote on the first time was to be a little bit more enthusiastic. So I do think the standing up helps a lot. And it's such a simple tweak, like from sitting down to standing up, it just gives you an energy boost and you can hear it over the phone. So I think that helped a lot. And then, so Robert, I have a question because sometimes, the brokerage name is a little long. Does that even
Mhm.
matter? Or should he stick to like, hey, I'm a local realtor, and then just leave it at that? What do you think?
Well, if it's a company that is notorious in the area, I would say that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not really familiar with Boris's brokerage, but if I were to sit there and say, I'm Robert, local realtor with C21, I'm Robert, with Remax or whatever in a sense it may be, that's perfectly fine. But if it's one of these smaller boutique places, great point, Lizette. I would just keep it very simple. I'm a local realtor. Okay. Because they're going to
Okay. Yeah.
with what? But let's go ahead and quickly role play. I want to role reverse. I want to show you with what it is that I'm trying to get you to do, Boris. That was good. That was definitely gooder. I'll tell you that. So I'll be the agent this time. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hello, Boris.
Yes.
Boris, my name is Robert. I'm a local realtor. The reason I'm calling you is I just listed a beautiful home. It's right around the corner from you over on Banana Street. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home. We have it listed at a great price of 500,000. Boris, I was curious, who do you know that'd like to move here into our neighborhood? Okay.
Yes, that's good. Yeah, I don't know anybody.
We'll stop right there. Okay. So what I'm getting at is it just a little bit more? And what? Who? Where? Who's calling? What are you selling? Oh, well, that's not a bad price. Okay, cool. So that's kind of with what we're doing. We're just trying to get their minds working a little bit stronger and better. But hey, I want to take a minute, of course, just say thank you. I really appreciate it because I know volunteering is not always the easiest. Any questions, any comments, any concerns before I let the audience go? Lizette, any last insights?
No, I would say just for the next round that we do for role plays, I mean, just encouraging a little bit more of the participation, more role play. This is how we get better. I consistently role play with my team, and we're just here to help. So I think that's, with that, just being open-minded, and we have a great coach here. So just being able to take advantage of that.
Yeah. And then obviously don't forget lead sheet. If you guys need that, want that, just again, send me a DM at Instagram. And it's been a minute since I've actually even asked in regards to coaching is concerned. I have a bunch of people that have actually signed up for coaching. Super excited. I'm beyond grateful for those of you that do believe in me and continuing to grow, MIT. As I'm continuing to do all these speaking engagements, I'm now booking stuff on the Northeast, the Southwest, got stuff in Texas, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia. I'm coming your way. I got all kinds of stuff that's coming, which is super duper exciting. If you guys want more information about coaching, just simply send me a DM. Okay. Again, I don't hard sell. I just give you the information. Okay. And if it's a fit, great. I only want to coach people that want to be coached. Okay. I don't sit here and force people to do anything. But if you guys want more information, send me a DM. Just simply put coach and we'll get you all the information. All right, everybody, let's go kick butt. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Robert.